Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today, when this video goes out, it's going to be my birthday, so I decided to give you a nice present, which is a brand new build of Green Black Turbodepths. I say brand new, we're doing some slightly different things, which I think is going to make quite a big difference to the deck. So let's get right into this one. So for those who are unfamiliar, Turbodepths is a deck that basically wins by making Marit Lage off of Dark Depths. We either remove all the counters with Hexmage to get a 2020, or we make a copy, and then our copy doesn't have any counters, so we get a 2020 that way. To facilitate this, we have tutors. Now, normally we'd be playing 8 tutors in Sylvan Scrying and crop rotation, and then we'd be running fast mana, hand disruption, Not of This World, and Pithing Needle to protect us from things like Caracas, as well as the Needle being able to stop things like Wasteland. And then we'd have a few silver bullets in the lands that we can go and find and do some interesting stuff with. But today, we are playing Elvish Reclaimer. Elvish Reclaimer right now is arguably the best 1-drop creature in Legacy. It's so powerful right now because there's these Rescaminator decks that rely on their graveyard but also struggle to pick off creatures once they're in play, and this can just shut that down. That's basically the most popular deck right now. So this card can really do some work there. It dodges Bowmasters, and on its own, it allows you to tutor. Every time you untap with this, you can tutor for another land, basically. So this can just, on its own, find both of our combo pieces. So the reason we're playing Reclaimer is not just because it's good in the format right now, but the Rescaminator decks and stuff like that, where they pick apart your hand, we're sometimes having to operate on fewer resources, which means mulligans at the moment are a little bit more damaging to our game plan than they have been in the past. So the idea is, by having this Elvish Reclaimer, we can have more keepable hands, so we mulligan less. And as a general rule, when you mulligan less with this deck, you win more, because, you know, you have the resources to go off basically every time you play the deck, but it's how much protection you get. And by adding in the Reclaimer, that can give us another layer of protection by Sejiri Steppe. It can also give us more tutors. So I don't really need to sell Elvish Reclaimer. It's a well-known entity within Legacy. I'm just explaining what it's doing in this particular shell. Now, in order to make room for it, we did have to make some cuts. So we've gone down on 1 Elvish Spirit Guide. We've gone down on 2 Pits of Hand Disruption. We've gone down on 1 Pithing Needle. So Pithing Needle is less necessary when we have Elvish Reclaimer, because Elvish Reclaimer is going to be able to kind of blank Wastelands a little bit, because they can't really Wasteland while Reclaimer's up, so we can kind of just do our thing a little bit. So there is that. And then also there's a lot of decks that have answers to Pithing Needle at the moment. So you're seeing a lot of Witherbloom commands. Sometimes the Rescaminator decks are splashing green to help play things like that. And you've obviously got Beanstalk control, or Bugstalk control, if you will, that runs the Witherbloom command, which is pretty good at killing Pithing Needles. Normally we don't mind so much, but we might as well try this list, and we need to fit in the 4 Reclaimers somewhere. So maybe we can tweak with the numbers here. This is just trying out something a little bit different to see how it fares today, and I think the logic behind it is very sound. Sideboard-wise, it's the same as it ever was. We've got Not of This World to protect ourselves. We've got some Null Rods and Collector Ouphes to kind of get the artifact decks to, you know, the ones that can race us, things like Storm or the One Ring combos, we can sort of jam those up. We've got a little bit more hand disruption, which is more important now that we have less in the main deck. We've got the 4 Abrupt Decays, which we can use to blow up Blood Moon, Mages of the Moon, Opposition Agent, Ensnaring Bridge. A lot of annoying permanents that we can deal with. And this is also the reason why we want to have the basic mana bases here. So we have 1 of each basic so that we can cast Abrupt Decay. I think if you don't have Abrupt Decay and you opt for more like Dismember and Force of Vigor, then you can actually cut the swamp from the main deck. And you probably don't even want to run a fetch down mana base necessarily. But maybe you do, and we'll discuss that later. Or we'll discuss on my Patreon, where I have lots of information about this deck. Anyway, we've also got 4 Leyline of the Voids, because there's a lot of graveyard decks right now, so we might as well just play the biggest haymaker we can. Alright, so that's the deck. And this is my little birthday treat to you all. So I just want to say, once again, thank you so much for everyone who's supporting the channel. It does mean a lot to me. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's jam some of my beloved Green Black Turbodepths. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? So this hand is a turn 2 combo if we want it. And we can sort of back up with a turn 3 combo as well. It's a little bit cold to Wasteland, but I think turn 2 2020 is a fine way to play the game. Our opponent's already mulligan as well, so we'll keep this. So we use Urborg, Spirit Guide to cast this Sylvan Scrying. And then we get the Dark Depths, and then next turn we can just play it, cast a Hexmage, make a 2020, and all will be right with the world. Alright, Mishra's Bauble. What flavour of Bauble deck is this? Are we looking at a Delver style deck, or are we looking at an 8-cast style deck? Or some kind of Saga Storm? Thundering Falls. This suggests to me that our opponent is playing a Delver deck, which means we might want to go a little bit slower with our tutors to play around days. Alright, we just have another one though, so that does suggest to me that we're going to jam this Urborg and just fire off this Sylvan Scrying straight up. If they counter this one, they'll set themselves back. They can obviously wasteland our Urborg, which shuts off their Hexmage line, but we can just go Yavimaya into Thespian stage, Scrying for Dark Depths, play Dark Depths. And the game one against Delver is pretty good. Well, the whole match against Delver is generally pretty good. Alright, so we got a 2-for-1 there. I'll take that. It does mean we have to play the Yavimaya next turn to get the Sylvan Scrying going. But they could have a wasteland here and set us back. Let's see. Alright, no wasteland, that's good news. A Ponder. So this could find them some more disruption, but our opponent's already pretty low on resources because they 2-for-1 themselves on that Force of Will. This Channeler just needs a land and it will be popping. So the clock isn't actually particularly scary right now. Because this has to automatically attack, it's usually not a thing we care about with our Marit Lage. Okay. Sometimes things pan out for us. Let's try this one. Right, we're in. So in our opponent's upkeep, we're probably going to make this to dodge Wasteland. This we have played into Stifle is the only issue here. Okay, they haven't stifled the Hexmage, so we do just get out 2020. Yeah, that was possibly a little bit loose. We were trying to play around them having to spend mana on our guy. But, right, no Wasteland there. They've got a 3-3 that has to attack into our 2020. They have possibly 2 Brazen Borrowers in their deck. So they kind of have to hit it off this Brainstorm. Alright, they didn't keep a card on top with the Channeler. Alright, and we win. So, Delver of Secrets, you say, and friends. So, how much do we think our opponent's going to be trying to bounce our stuff? Not so much, to be honest. They're going to have some number of Brazen Borrowers. But I don't think that's where we want to be taking our fight. I think we'll strip one of these out for a Duress, because we need to make sure that our spells resolve. And then we can play another Duress over a Reclaimer. Sorry, not a Reclaimer, a Spirit Guide. So we've still got a couple of these in. But we just got more ability to poke holes in our opponent's hand. Actually, if we take out this Bojuka Bog and we can get back in... You want this Not of This World? I think we'll have this Not of This World. It's either that or the Spirit Guide here. We could board in things like Decays, but that's not really where I want to be in this matchup. And we don't need to deal with their thing. It's only if they go like really lightning fast, racing towards Murktide sort of thing. So what does our hand do here? We have turn 1 Sylvan Scrying, or we have turn 1 Duress, Sylvan Scrying, or Crop Rot. It's fine. Like we have 2 tutors here, and we have a hole that we can punch through. I think this hand is acceptable. If our opponent's got multiple forms of counter magic, this could be a little bit awkward for us. Alright, that certainly doesn't hurt. So we'll play out this Lotus Petal. We'll duress our opponent. See what they're working with over there. Brainstorm, Force of Will, and Force of Negation. So if we take the Force of Will, we can crop rotate in our opponent's upkeep. But that does expose us to Wasteland somewhat, so I'm not a big fan of that. So if we take the Force of Will here, we could just get 2 cards out of our opponent's hand using this Sylvan Scrying. Or we could try and wait for some more disruption. We've got 6 more pieces of hand disruption to get through this Force of Negation. If we fire off this Sylvan Scrying, that's our only... Okay, no, I think what we're doing here is we want to Sylvan Scrying here. This is going to eat the Force of Negation. But then we can play out the Petal and we can hold up the Crop Rot in case they have a Wasteland. Right, so they pitch the Portent. That's not a surprise. I'll play this out. We're not going to Crop Rot in our opponent's turn here because that can be a danger in terms of what our opponent can do with Wastelands after we've got our Crop Rot. Alright, so they didn't draw an instant or sorcery here. But they have a Brainstorm, which is usually a pretty good way of finding those sorts of things. But we will see what our opponent flips the Delver to, which is some important information of how we operate this game. Alright, their hand was so bad that they just wanted to shuffle. They didn't play the fetch hand we knew about, which is interesting. Another Delver, sure. They've got one card in hand, so it's only days that we're playing around in terms of counter magic. Just taking one is no biggie. A Sylvan Scrying, you say? Don't mind if I do. Let's grab this. So we want to get the Dark Depths here, because that's the thing that's harder for us to find. So if we have... No, we could just go next turn, right? Okay, counterbalance. That's certainly an awkward one. They reveal the counterbalance. Is this to try and make us play into the counterbalance now? Alright, am I crop rotating in response to counterbalance? I think that's correct. But the problem here is, if we crop rotate this into Thespian stage, we still don't have enough mana and we're still kind of cold to a wasteland. Do I want to be cold to a wasteland here? Our opponent's got one card in hand. That is a tricky one. But then if we're looking for something like a dark, an Urborg, if we draw a... Okay, I think we're going to let this counterbalance hit. I think there's definitely an option for trying to get the Thespian stage going there. But we're not under a lot of pressure. It's just this counterbalance and a couple of 1/1s. So I think we want to see what we're drawing because that might change what we have. We might be able to poke a hole with something else. An Elvish Reclaimer. Okay. This is a pretty good Magic the Gathering card. Let's see what the counterbalance yields. I'd rather this gets countered than the crop rotation. For obvious reasons. Okay, a Brainstorm on top. We will play this Dark Depths out. Alright, so this Brainstorm is going to flip both these Delvers and the clock becomes a 3-turn clock. I don't believe our opponent's got the Flood Strand in hand anymore. I think they shuffled it away. Well, if they do play one, that's interesting. So the Brainstorm is going to be pretty savage against us because they've got this counterbalance popping. So maybe we are supposed to bring in some decays just for this counterbalance. A crop rotation. Well, they have a Brainstorm over there. So that is certainly an awkward one. There is a wasteland. Okay. Well, it's now or never, isn't it? Let's crop rotate away this. So, do we have some options here. We can either try and cast this other crop rotation and save our Dark Depths. I think we're supposed to do that. A Murktide Region. Okay, so that's a 7-drop. So if they don't find a 1-drop, then we could have comboed them this turn. Alright, they've got a daze. We will pay for this. So this gives them another card to put back with a Brainstorm as well. Alright, so this is getting the other Dark Depths, isn't it? I think it's more important to get the Dark Depths from the Thespian stage, and the crop rotation is less likely to resolve. But what could happen is they could find a daze, and then we don't have anything to pay because we have this land. Whereas if we've got a Thespian stage here, then we could pay for the daze. But I'm more worried about this counterbalance on 1. Now, we still need to find another mana source now. But our deck is full of mana sources. We're going to reveal this counterbalance. We chose not to use it. Okay, so we go and get ourselves a Thespian's stage here. So any mana source, and we're good. Now, we do need to find it this turn because our opponent is threatening to kill us. If they produce another threat, they might be able to kill us anyway. But we've put ourselves in a spot where our opponent is likely going to need the thing to stop us because mana is very abundant in our deck, like so. Alright, and our opponent's upkeep will make this. Alright, we have a 20/20. Our opponent can kill us with a lightning bolt. There's an island, they could borrow us. A bauble. We know there's a Murktide Regent floating around on top as well from the previous Brainstorm. So they can attack for 3 here. Play Murktide Regent second combat. Yeah. Alright, so we gobble up one of these. And then if they play a Murktide, if we don't attack, then they can attack with 2 creatures and kill us the following turn. If they do attack... Sorry, and if we attack, they lose a guy but then kill us with a Delver. So we're kind of requiring a Sejiri Steppe, Sylvan Scrying, or crop rotation here. And our crop rotation, or whatever we cast, needs to get through the counterbalance. That's kind of where we're at here. Come on, deck. So they've seen the top card of our library, so they know if it's going to be good enough or not. Yeah, our opponent's got this one. If I attack and they block, that's an obvious play. They know the card in our hand. Our opponent should win this game, and I'm not going to insult their intelligence. Let's go to game 3. Do I want answers to counterbalance? I don't actually think I do. Like, it can be annoying, but I think we're usually trying to do our thing before then. So I think we're just going to roll back in with the hand disruption here. Maybe we could trim a Knot of this World for an Abrupt Decay. Let's try that, actually. Just have one of these. But I don't just want a bunch of Abrupt Decays to not go anywhere. But being able to kill a blocker might be important. But there's also more mana concerns if you're casting an Abrupt Decay than there is if you're playing Knot of this World. Alright. We got Thoughtseizes, we got Reclaimers. This all seems good to me. So, we already have a decision about what land we're playing. If our opponent wants to just wasteland us when we have a Reclaimer in play, that's fine by me. Let's just get this Reclaimer down. This is definitely Force of Willibor, because this represents a 2020 in a few turns' time. Okay, so pay the 1 life, they're just trying to work out what blue card to pitch. A Delver of Secrets. Okay, so no 1-drop threat, that's interesting. So now they could wasteland us and that would be fine. It's obviously not great for us, but I can live with that. There's a wasteland. They're just going to attack the Bayou straight away? They are, sure. So I mean they have a second one. Sejiri Steppe isn't really the one we want here. So we could go and get a Swamp, but then we're just shot off of green. We could go and get a Bayou and hold up crop rotation, or we could just Thoughtseize our opponent. This is a tough choice. I think I'm going to get the Bayou and Thoughtseize our opponent here. If we show that we're not scared of wasteland, they're less likely to wasteland us if they do have one. Force of Negation, pitching Force of Negation. Okay, so we've cast 2 Hymn to Turax so far. That's not a wasteland. They really are scared of us taking away whatever that last card in their hand is. So let's see what it is. If it is a Brainstorm, then sure. Okay, Blood Moon and a Brazen Borrower. Like, they're both kind of annoying in their own weird little ways. I'm trying to work out what's easier for us to beat here. I think the Blood Moon is easier for us to beat than the Borrower. I'll just play this land out just so we have more lands going on. So we can use the Blood Moon as our... Ooh, Counterbalance is sick. I was going to say we can use the Blood Moon as our combo piece. So I think we go Sylvan Scrying. Let's hope they didn't reveal a 2-drop. They did not. Okay, so we're not going to play any of our 1-drops into this Ponder. We'll go and get a basic forest. Let's play a basic forest. I don't want to play the Reclaimer into the Ponder, so we've got to wait a turn on that one. A crack in the Ponder there. Sure. So we want to just blow this up with a Boseiju at some point. Using the Sylvan Scrying to get our forest is a little bit annoying, but I think that's still the correct play to do. We've got 2 Boseijus and 3 Sylvan Scrying still in the deck. So that's quite a lot of hits. Thespian Stage. So we have the option to try and combo our opponent if that's what we want to do. I think we're better off getting this Elvish Reclaimer down. So they might have hidden the Blood Moon on the top of the with the counterbalance, because that means that we can't discard it. Chose not to use it. Okay. So we have some interesting options. We can crop rotate. No, if they're going to be playing the Blood Moon, we just want to crop rotate then. It also gives us a 3/4, which might just be able to beat them down if they're not got anything going on. So they're not going to be able to cast their Murktide Regent, so we will have the biggest creature, because the biggest creature they can deploy without with the Blood Moon in play is going to be a 3/2 or a 3/3. A Mishra's Bauble. Okay, Bauble away. Targeting us rather than themselves, but they know the card from Ponder, so cracking this Misty Rainforest. I believe they're going to put a Blood Moon onto the stack. We will let the Blood Moon resolve, and then in their end step, we will crop rotate, getting rid of this Sejiri Steppe. This will give us a 3/4 so we can start beating down. A Murktide Regent that they can't cast, that's fine. So this Dark Depths now has no counters on. A Duress. Really want bout. We don't need to crack anything here, we can just start serving in with our 3/4, and now we are the beatdown. Alright, a Mountain from our opponent. Crop rotation. Don't care about that one. Let's just keep bashing. We can use that to go and get a Swamp so that we can Thoughtseize our opponent or Duress our opponent. Alright, another blank from our opponent. Alright, Dark Depths isn't the one here. Let's just bash. Another blank from our opponent, so we don't need to do any Duress shenanigans yet. The little Elvish Reclaimer that could, hopefully. Another crop rotation. Just 2 more turns of this. A Brainstorm. Sure, that's a pretty good one. That makes our crop rotation. Alright, they're just scooping it up because they brainstormed and saw they were locked. So when I played Delver, Blue-Red Delver recently, I really hated having Blood Moon but only 1 island. And our opponent has just showcased that very well. But if we were to draw... Okay, we were going to draw an Abrupt Decay so we could crop rotate for a Swamp and get this. So we actually had even more outs than I thought we did. But yeah, Elvish Reclaimer already coming up trumps in the very first match. Let's go to round 2. Alright, we're into round 2. We have a turn 2 combo if we want it. I think this is a keeper. I think we play this out. So we could just turn our Spirit Guide into a Thespian stage right now. But I would like to keep open the option for a Bojuka Bog if something goes awry. But we'll see what our opponent's up to. Because obviously, if you're going to get your hand discarded, it's best to turn these spells into lands. But we don't know what our opponent's playing. Mistress Board, we're getting more Delver, because that's good. It's kind of what our deck thrives on. A Tropical Island, okay. And a Ponder. Right, so we're on some different stuff over there. So I chose not to shuffle. Am I playing around... So we're playing around days with this Elvish Spirit Guide. I think that's okay. So then we go and get Bayou here. And then in the end step we will crop rotate. They've got Force of Will, that's definitely annoying for us. But we do have a green source in Spirit Guide. It's just a day. We're playing around Force of Negation this way. A days. Right, we'll get this Urborg. I don't believe our opponent has a counter spell. Let's make a friend. Because surely you just go on that crop rotation. So in our opponent's upkeep we'll make this. This dodges Wasteland, which is very common in these sorts of decks. They're unlikely to have a 1 mana blue way of bouncing our guy. The power of Elvish Spirit Guide. Alright, and we're in. So we've seen Tropical Island, Days, Ponder, Mistress Bauble. So this tells me that our opponent is probably in the Rug Delver spectrum. That's where I would imagine we're looking at. So we've got some options. So I like the Duresses so that we can get through counter spells like we did before. We can trim on a Spirit Guide and a Not of This World. We could take out the Bojuka Bog and take 1 Abrupt Decay like we did before. And that's probably pretty reasonable. This is generally one of the sort of matchups you want to play with depths. Yeah, you want to be playing against Delver rather than like white-based control decks, which just absolutely roll us. So hopefully we can dodge those today. Okay, we have Wasteland Protection. We have lots of stuff here. We do need to resolve this Hexmage, but we already have Dark Depths, and we've got so many tutors in our decks now that we should be fine, even if this doesn't make it, because the Needle should do some work for us. And we can play out the Lotus Petal to play around Days. Oh, that's interesting. We could just try and jam right now. I don't think that's correct, though. I think we want to jam next turn. Let's play out 1 Lotus Petal. I would like to play a Pithing Needle first. And we'll play it off the Bayou. Just get this down and name Wasteland. And then next turn we can play Hexmage around Days with Not of This World backup. So we have the Brazen Borrower beat as well. Counterbalance is a little bit annoying. But they haven't set it up yet. So I guess we need to see if our Lotus Petal resolves first. What have you got on top? I chose not to reveal. Interesting. Let's play another one. You got 2 drop over there, opponent? Let's find out. They reveal Polluted Delta. That's not the one, is it? You're going to react with some spells here, opponent. They are. They have a Force of Will. Okay. Let's play this Verdant Catacomb. We don't have any Surveil lands, which, I don't know. It feels like maybe we could do with a Surveil land, just a thing to grab. That's certainly something to think about in the future. I think it's Underground Mortuary, this one. Alright, so it wasn't an instant or sorcery. Alright, it was probably this creature. Fair enough. So by playing out the Verdant Catacombs there, we have meant that if we draw a Thespian stage next turn, we don't get to go off. But maybe I'm playing a little bit scared about Meltdown into Wasteland, which would obviously give us a hard time, and I don't really want to deal with that. But I think maybe we should have played the depths there. But I do somewhat live in fear of people bringing in Surgical Extractions. And then just, you know, I guess that's a combination of 3 cards, and our opponent's got far less than 3 cards going on right now. So maybe that wasn't a necessary thing to play around. An Abrupt Decay. Okay, I don't hate that one. We do have some decisions to make about what we decay. Obviously, Counterbalance is something that's going to allow us to resolve our best spells. Right, they revealed a Daze. Okay, that's an easy one to play around. Are we buying ourselves some time, or are we making sure that the things we have work? I think this is a really tough call. Right, I'm going to crack this Verdant Catacombs first. And we're going to get a Bayou. And so we didn't get Stifled here. I think we're just going to leave it because our opponent might be a Blood Moon deck as well. because the rug build is basically blue-red. Okay. So opponent's definitely mounting up the damages here. Just going to have to make some decisions. I'm not going to bother removing counters from this. Okay, I like the Reclaimer here. Let's see what's on top of your library. They haven't done any stacking here. So this could be a Thundering Falls. A Daze. Right, this is just a Surveil for the purposes of trying to set up the top of their library. They have a lot of ones. See if we can get this guy in. Mishra's Bauble. Okay, our opponent's got one card in hand, so they're unlikely to be able to answer this. So next turn we can get Thespian Stage. The turn after we can get our combo piece. And then our opponent's drawing a Murktide Regent this turn. No, they're drawing a Mishra's Bauble, right? So this won't flip. So I think we need to kill this guy now. So we need to buy the little bit of extra time that we can get. And we're doing that in their draw step because as soon as we go to their main phase, they're going to play that Bauble and get that Surveil. So we're basically just looking to draw land, and then we can activate this to get Thespian Stage, and then the turn after we make a 20/20. So we only take 3 this turn. It's pretty good. Alright. So they're getting an additional card here. It's a land. That's one of the things that we wanted to see. So we get Thespian Stage next turn, and the turn after we have our combo. Our Reclaimer is also lightning bolt proof if that's relevant. Let's see what this does. So they're going to hit us for 6 here. And then we're going to make a 20/20, and then they're going to hit us for 3, and we're going to die. So that's actually not good. Alright. We don't have a cool land that can deal with these creatures coming in. I think we're going to be a turn slow. So that turn where we could have Abrupt Decayed and hit a Delver might come back to bite us, actually. Let's get rid of... I'll get rid of the forest here. Gets us a Thespian Stage. And we can make our 20/20. But it's not going to be good enough here because they're going to attack with 2 guys. Is there anything we can do about this? I don't think so. Our opponent is unlikely to make a mistake here. And all they have to do is attack with 2 creatures. Yeah, we are 1 turn too slow. We needed a Delver not to flip, but they were obviously going to flip when they were having a look at extra cards. Well, actually, no, they didn't set it up, so it wasn't. Alright, they have decided to do the correct attack. So they're making us work for it today. Kind of feeling like maybe I want an additional Abrupt Decay. Right, that Knot of this World was just sat in our hand this whole time. The only issue is here is how are we going to beat the Brazen Borrower if like this is what we have access to. That's 5 cards that deal with the Borrower, so we have to be really careful about using them. I guess we do have the Reclaimer, which gives us more tutors for Sejiri Steppe. So, alright, I'm going to believe in the power of Abrupt Decay. I've not done the full mapping with the Elvish Reclaimer, although I never do a full sideboard map, so to speak, because I think the meta is always changing. You need to understand the principles behind your sideboarding, not just in-out numbers. So what does this hand do? This is turn 1, Duress. Turn 2, Sylvan Scrying. Oh, I don't like this one. I think we can do better. Yikes. I think we can do better than this as well. Okay. We're going to throw back our green cards. And we're just going to play Pithing Needle into Duress into the combo. We do need to play the Pithing Needle first in case they wasteland our first land. But I will take this 5-card hand. Our opponent's pondering for some time on whether or not they're going to keep their 6. Urborg. Needle. So we play the Urborg out in case we draw the Hexmage. So the thing is, Duress doesn't hit Brazen Borrower. That is the one thing that could jam us up here. A Volcanic Island. We see a Ponder. We're going to see a threat. Okay. Our hand will beat this threat. It's a case of what their hand has on offer. So we play out this so we can play around a Daze. Meltdown is one I don't really want to see here, so that can go away. I will play this Lotus Petal now. That is playing into Meltdown, but playing around potential counterbalance. No, I think we keep the Lotus Petal in hand for now. Okay, so our opponent's going to be pondering. There's Pluto Delta. They're cracking first. And then a Ponder? Or have they got something better? Nope, it's the Ponder. Right, they bend off a Force of Will. They understand that the time for that is probably not now. It's kind of why this Turbodepths deck can be so scary, because sometimes like you can sit there in a Force of Will or do it all, and sometimes it does nothing. They chose not to shuffle. Is that a bluff? Or is that genuinely what they want? Because if they shuffle, I'm always going for it. If they don't shuffle, does that change things? Right, we'll play out this Dark Depths. And I'll play out this Lotus Petal. So we can do our combo, but we have to live in fear of Brazen Borrower. So they might have just kept a cantrip on top rather than like the Borrower. But we'll see how much time we get here. Because our opponent, as long as this Dragon's Rage Channeler is just a 1-1, I don't really mind that much. This Brainstorm might let our opponent know that they can't win though. If there's no fetch land and they didn't have anything, they might just be toasted. They can flip this Channeler to chump block for a turn. Right, Flood Strands, they can shuffle away that Brainstorm. That suggests to me they didn't find the things they wanted. A Brainstorm, sure. So they can't shuffle unless they find a Ponder here. But if they find a Ponder, they're not going to have enough mana to do it. So they should know if they're dead to the combo or not this turn. I guess they... No, because they're going to know what's on top of their library as well, right? So they'll know if they can use a Bolt to survive a turn. So now we have this weird choice of whether or not we... Okay, so surveilling, are we putting it away? We are bidding off a card. So this will give them a blocker. This will give them a 3-3. Alright, so they're lightning bolting us. Sure. This means that they do not have access to Brazen Borrower. But they can crack this to get Delirium, I believe. Sorcery, land, instant. Yep, so this will be the artifact. Yep, so now they have a 3-3, so they're planning on blocking with this. They did not keep the card off the Channeler. Right, so in comes our 2020. Hope they're not playing that 1-mana blue bounce spell that some people play. Let's go to attacks. So we'll gobble up the Channeler. So we have a decision about whether we play the Hexmage. It doesn't stop any sort of edict effects, but it could be useful to have another attacker, but I think we're just going to keep it in hand and use it as a secondary combo. So our opponent can play a Murktide Regent and stall for a turn, or they can play a Channeler and stall for a turn. But they are just throwing a bunch of stuff into the Marit Lage. And if we find a tutor, we can just go and get Sejiri Steppe and try and win the game. Right, still putting cards away. They're seeing a lot of cards here. Right, that can be a blocker next turn as well. Or the turn after next. Okay. Alright. We send in big Marit Lage. Under the bus goes the Channeler. Here comes the Catacombs. They didn't do the trick to try and flip the Delver with the Bauble. You target yourself so you can stack the draw and the reveal. Right, they revealed a Portent. That's more looks at things. But at some point we can just draw another tutor. Alright, there is another creature to go under the bus. I'm curious if they're going to attack us with their Insectile Aberration. Like, Abrupt Decay can potentially win us the game if they do. As can Sejiri Steppe or any tutors. Right, so they got a Ponder here, and we've already seen this Portent as well. Alright. They're seeing so many cards here. Okay, they're bidding off the counterbalance. They chose not to use Portent's ability. Does that mean they found what they're looking for? They're going to be brave and attack with the 3-2. They're not. Right, we're going to thin our library a little bit here. Try and find ourselves. Okay. One card off the Portent. I would like to see what our opponent's working with over there. Brainstorm and a Murktide Regent. Let me take the Regent, as weird as that may seem. Alright, so we gobble up the Insectile Aberration or the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Alright, it's going to be Insectile Aberration. So this has to attack. Are we playing out this Hexmage? What use is that? I don't think there's any real use there. Like, they're not going to be tapping out to play a counterbalance this turn. That's not what this game is about right now. They did leave their Portent on top. Okay, Brainstorm. So it probably was just the Brainstorm and they're just using... And that was what they want. Okay, so they're milling. So we want to see. Drawing 3 cards. Casting a Ponder. So they need to find land and Borrower here. Put counterbalance in the graveyard. They shuffled their library. Dragon's Rage Channeler has to attack, but they could play another Channeler here. Assume they've got more in their deck. There's a Wasteland. In comes the Channeler, one has to imagine. If they have the Borrower, they should do it now. They should have done it on that turn. Alright, let's attack with our guy. GG's from our opponent there. Is that because they've got a bounce spell, or because they don't? You never know sometimes. Alright, they got it. Alright, 2-0 in the league because we're playing against Delver decks. Let's keep it coming. Elvish Reclaimer is still looking pretty good so far. I'm liking this change. Let's go to round 3. This is a weird looking hand. It's very cold to some counter spells. I think we can have something a bit more stable here. Okay. I like this one. Keep this. One of these has got to go. It's probably just going to be the Hexmage here. This is our black source. This is our second black source. I think we want to keep that. So we're just going to get rid of the second Hexmage. So I think this has to be a Bayou into Pithing Needle. Okay, so next turn we can Bojuka Bog and we can Thoughtseize and Bojuka Bog in that particular order. Okay, Ignoble Hierarch. So we're probably looking at a Cradle control style deck list, which is another matchup that I'm quite happy to see, to be honest. So let's take a peek at our opponent. What have you got over there? Green Sun Zenith ×2 Fiend Artisan. Like, what can they get? Realistically, what can a Green Sun Zenith for 2 get them that I actually care about here? I don't think there is anything. Can we just take the Fiend Artisan? Let's get rid of their graveyard. And then next turn, we can just combo off. There's the Verdant Catacombs. Could just see, like, Hierarch, Zenith, Bash for 2 with the other Hierarch. We're not seeing that, though. We're seeing the Hierarch, though. Interesting. Makes me wonder what their draw was for turn. Or are they just going to Green Sun Zenith for something like an Elvish Reclaimer, which will be too slow at this point. Yep, there it is. Because these lands come into play tapped. So that's not the one, opponent. Thoughtseize we don't get to cast. Let's play this. Play this. We'll just do this now, I think. So they need to buy themselves a turn with something like an Endurance, whilst they can use this to get maybe a Karakas. Or they could just naturally draw their Karakas, which would be very sad for us. They might even have a main deck Karakas. Although it feels like I've said Karakas enough times that I've spoken into existence. But let's see. 4 mana. Is this going to be a natural order? A Green Sun Zenith for 3. Okay, so this is for the Endurance to block with. Yeah, but we can just go and get Sejiri Steppe and bash through. Alright, they've put some good cards back into our deck. Not that that matters. Yeah, this one should be over, I believe. Sylvan Scrying. Go and get Sejiri Steppe. Play Sejiri Steppe. Go our creature protection from green. Bash you for 20. Alright. That's that game. So, now, this is a matchup where Abrupt Decays are pretty useful. We're not worried about their natural order necessarily. But the hands they beat us will be natural order hands, which is generally how it goes, if that makes sense. So I like these Abrupt Decays, obviously. I don't think we're in a Bojuka Bog matchup, so I think we can probably trim that one. And this looks fine. Inquisition of Kozilek doesn't hit natural order, which is the card we're most worried about, I think. So swapping this out for a Duress makes some sense. And how much do we care about our Pithing Needle shenanigans, and how much do we care about fast mana? Are we trimming this for a Duress? I think that's fine. It's just the natural order we're worried about, I think, here. And we'll see if there's any new technologies that devastate us. Okay, what does this hand do? This hand, Duresses on 1, kills on 2. That sounds like something I'd like to do. Or it doesn't kill, but it combos on 2. Alright, I'll take that. We have to decide which land we play first, because that's actually quite relevant here. Are they going to Thoughtseize us? No, that's an Ignoble Hierarch. Sure. See what we draw and see if it informs whether we're playing the Urborg or the Bayou. Alright, now that we've drawn this Verdant Catacombs, I'm okay to play this Bayou out, I believe. I don't want to give our opponent black mana in case that's relevant for them playing some Dorks out and then also Thoughtseizing us or something. Alright, let's see if we can take out a Natural Order or a Green Sun Zenith. Something spooky. 2 Natural Orders. Okay. Understood, opponent. This won't be fast enough, but I might end up getting an Attractor and putting it under the bus. So I think we're going to see Mortuary and Hierarch here. That's my guess. There's Hierarch. Oh, a Reclaimer. That's a good one. Again, it's going to be a turn slow, though. I've left a card on top. So we do have options here. So they will have to Natural Order here, right? So they play this out. So that gives them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So that's enough to Elvish Reclaimer and Natural Order. If we kill this Elvish Reclaimer right now, they'll still have 6 mana. They can Cradle for... Yeah, I think we have to... Yeah, I think we are on... Play this out. Turn this into a Dark Depths. Play Hexmage, make Hexmage. Alright, so we can Abrupt Decay a blocker, but if it's an Atraxa, that's not going to work. But if we find a tutor, we can go get Sejiri Steppe and punch through again. But I think they're incentivized to natural order for the Atraxa here. If they drew Atraxa this turn, that's really problematic for them. Another Reclaimer, sure. This is free because of the Cradle, effectively. I don't think we're dead to Collector Ouphe here. I haven't done the maths, that's not my job here. My job is to make the 2020 at this point, I think. Right, so in comes the natural order. This is our opponent's last card, but if they get the Atraxa, we'll see a bunch of other cards. There's the Atraxa. Okay, there's some stuff there. Pick Your Poison is a pretty good one, as it turns out. That's probably going to ruin the game for us. Interesting. Yeah, so if they pick Your Poison here, and they got the Collector Ouphe Beam off for next turn, yeah, I think we're done here. They chose the correct mode. All right. Not seen Pick Your Poison coming up much before, so that's interesting. Inquisition of Kozilek. Am I interested in this over a Pithing Needle? I think so. All right, let's go in. We're on the play this time, so that's quite a big boon. If we're on the play in that game, we just win that one straight up. All right. What have you got, hand? 2 removal spells, a creature that will find our combo in a few turns. Is this where we want to be, or would we rather have something faster and punchier for what our opponent's doing? Do I like double removal spell? I don't think that's what we're about. I think we want to just be going harder here. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. We'll keep this, and so we throw back the Scrying here, or do we throw back the Crop Rot? Crop Rot is obviously cheaper to do stuff with, and is instant speed. Yeah, okay, I've convinced myself. Right, so turn 1, let's Duress our opponent. Turn 2, let's make a 2020. Pick Your Poison. And that's actually the first time I think that I've had a Pick Your Poison kill my Marit Lage. Alright, let's see Duress. Let's see what you're up to. Okay, we will take their one thing that we can take. And we should kill our opponent on turn 3. They'll probably be priced into playing the Endurance on turn 2 to chump block. Then we just Sejiri Steppe and they die. I like not playing against white decks with this deck. Alright. So they got Forest. We're going to see a Hierarch of some description. They've gone for the noble one. A noble choice indeed. Alright, play this one out. Do you play around Wasteland here? Or do you play around Pick Your Poison? We didn't see a Wasteland. And we can beat Wasteland with our crop rotation anyway. There is a Hierarch. That's free under the Cradle anyway. There's the Cradle. Alright, let's Depths. Let's play this. Let's Thoughtseize our opponent just to make sure nothing sketchy is going on over there. I'll play this Endurance out. What's your other card in hand? Crack this. Get a Bayou. Crop rotate it for Sejiri Steppe. Alright, so we're 3-0. We haven't played any white decks. We had some pretty good hands, but we were fishing for that hand. That's why we were mulliganing. I'd happily go to 5 in search of something that can put something on the board in the first couple of turns, really. So, yeah, 3-0. Positive record locked in. Let's keep going on to round 4. Alright, opponent's a fan of the channel. Always nice to see. This hand will eventually make our combo. So we go turn 1, Thespian stage, Scrying. Turn 2. We can get there, and it's okay. This is kind of slow-ish, but I think it's on the keepable side of slow. And we are on the play. So I think we play out the Verdant Catacombs and the Lotus Petal here. I think we want to hold up crop rotation around days in case our opponent is on some terrifying graveyard deck. And then next turn we can Sylvan Scrying for the Dark Depths. We can't be Thoughtseize off of the Dark Depths here, so depending on what we draw, we're almost certainly going to get a Forest off of this, but maybe we'll get something else. Alright, Thoughtseize. That's interesting. Let's crack this. If we go and get ourselves a Forest here, play this out. If our opponent wants to disrupt this, then power to them, I guess. They can use their days to effectively blow up our Lotus Petal here. Okay. I will have a Dark Depths into my hand, please. So next turn we have the combo. We can try and get cheeky and Thoughtseize first and then crop rotate into Urborg. So we have to see what our opponent's up to. Thoughtseize. Like, we have our combo sewn up here, so we don't care about the Thoughtseize. We're worried about potential Shoulder's Edict, Brazen Borrower, and Wasteland. Those are the things I'm worried about. So they can hit our crop rotation here, then play a Wasteland. That's pretty good, and will set us back. Right, it took the Thoughtseize. Oh no, not a white mana source. That's the last thing I wanted to see. Oh dear, oh dear. Elvish Reclaimer. Okay. I'm going to play out our Elvish Reclaimer instead, because this matchup has changed dramatically in the face of that Tundra. We can turn our Thespian stage into a basic land if they have a Wasteland, but yeah. We've dodged white decks for 3 rounds. Right, they have a plow for this guy. Okay, that's one less plow for our Dark Depths, which is a nice thing about playing the Reclaimer. It can be a source to Plowshare's magnet. They know we have this crop rotation though, so they're very unlikely to play into it unless that's the thing they want to happen. But then it gets into mind games of, if we know that they would do that, maybe that they will do it the next step along, so they don't actually have a way to punish us crop rotating in response to their Wasteland. Alternatively, they'll just play a Tundra. Alright, blue and white, a Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, we're going to see if our opponent is... I imagine they're just some sort of stone play deck rather than breakfast. Like, we've seen Thoughtseize and Plow. Alright, Cryptic Coat. So these generally aren't things you see in breakfast decks. It's possible, but they're not generally what you'd expect to see. Right, so we'll play out this Dark Depth. I don't think our opponent is playing Wastelands if they're playing 3-colour Stoneforge, though. So our plan here is to make a 2020 at their end step to dodge things like Prismatic Ending, and hopefully crop rotation will get us there. That is our plan. It's not the best plan I've ever had, but it's the only one I've got. We've got 4 more discard spells. I think we are just going and hoping they only have 1 layer of protection. Alright, opponent, please don't source plow. Like, they already spent 1 of them, but that probably just means they have more in reserve. So they should be plowing now. Have they got a bounce spell? Blue and white. Snapcaster Mage. Interesting. So I guess we force them to spend the mana here. And then we crop rotate into their days and we lose the game. That's the plan here. Not a great plan, but it's the one we've got. So if we're getting Sejiri Steppe, we're probably going to get rid of our black source here. Yep. That's all of our things gone. Now we've got 20 life to work with. We have half the combo in hand. We can go and find the other half. So we do have another shot at it. What do they pitch? They pitch the Cryptic Coats. They use the Stoneforge to get themselves a blue card. Alright, we've got a Dark Depths. Alright, the old Swords to Plowshare Snapcaster deck is not going to be a thing that we enjoy playing against. So, alright, we're getting in for 3 fine damages. A Lotus Petal, you say. Let's see if this resolves. It does. Let's play this Dark Depths. An Orcish Bowmaster. We don't care about that. We care about these 2 cards in our opponent's hand. We've got some life to work with, so I am kind of inclined to just not make the 2020 here. If our opponent starts cantripping, that's going to be really bad for us. So we do need to think wisely about this. Alright. This is what? A Strix? Felt like our opponent was about to play a Strix. Or maybe a pre-combat Bowmasters to force damage. We're not blocking here to dodge things like Prismatic Ending. They got 3 colours in the deck, so the chance of having Prismatic Ending is just a really nice catch-all, very high. Oh, that's not very nice. A Caracas. Okay, we're not making our 2020 yet. A crop rotation. Okay. This gives us a chance to win the game next turn. Caracas. It's the classic. Someone says they're a fan of the channel and then just plays a deck that's really horrible against what you're playing. Gotta love it, though. It's part of the fun. Okay, so we have this Caracas beat with our Ghost Quarter if we can resolve our crop rotation. A Ponder. I don't think we want our opponent to know about this crop rotation. They did not shuffle their library off that Ponder. I think that maybe means we're taking another draw here. Is that true? We crop rotate, activate. Yeah, we can take it on the draw in case we find a discard spell because they kept off that ponder. So I think we will take it on the draw step, see if we can find a Thoughtseize or something. Another crop rotation. That is kind of the same thing. So we crop rotate, ghost quarter this, make our copy, sacrifice this, Sejiri Steppe. So we've got a card in their hand beat. Like they've probably just got like 3 Swords to Plowshares over there. Now this is the matchup where Legolas's Quick Reflexes is a good card. It's not a card we're playing, I think. Okay. Right, let's crop rotate once. Done here. We need 1 more mana to really do everything we need to do. Okay, this is the hard cast Force of Will. Okay. I understand, opponent. Not of this world. Hello. So this makes our token, and then we go. So we have 1 layer of protection. Our opponent has 1 card in hand and a Karakas. Like, it's either going to be good enough or not. We don't have the most amount of time. This is what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is almost a 2-turn clock. I don't think we have time. I guess we could take 1 more draw if we want to. And if we hit a land, that gives us 2 layers of protection. If our opponent has any additional power, then we're in trouble. Are we taking 1 more draw? So how much damage is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they have Bowmasters, then we have to play our creature to block with, which is still probably fine. Sure, I think we take 1 more draw here to give ourselves the maximum chance of playing through what our opponent has. Okay, sign me up. That'll do. Don't play Orcish Bowmasters at end step. They did not play Orcish Bowmasters at end step. Okay. I don't think we've won this game, but I think we're doing okay. A Thoughtseize. Ugh. Yikes. God, that's such a pain, isn't it? Okay, we can take 1 of our Not of This World. We have your Karakas covered. You've got 2 cards in hand. God, that Thoughtseize is so clutch here, I think. I hope they take the crop rotation. I don't think they will. I think they just take 1 of the Not of This World. If they take the crop rotation, then we might be okay. It took a Not of This World. That's expected. That's the correct pick. Right, so we take a bash here. Imagine if this was a Yavimaya instead of a Bayou. It'd be so much better. Alright, well this is our chance to attempt it. We lose to like Force of Negation or Force of a blue card or Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares does give us 20 life though. Not that I think we can rebuild from here. Alright, let's say no to that with Not of This World. Force of Will. Yep. Okay. Oh, the old Karakas Swords to Plowshares counterspell deck. A classic. I don't think our opponent is playing Wastelands here. Now, that we might be wrong, but I don't think they are. So I would like Duresses and Not of This World. I think the fast mana is still fine here. Bojuka Bog might be a thing where we can kind of use it as a Sejiri Steppe in terms of removing our opponent's ability to flash something back. So they could play a Snapcaster. If we've already played our Sejiri Steppe, we can then crop rotate for a Bojuka Bog and use it that way. I think that's reasonable. If this was a previous build where we had the Surgicals, I'd want Surgicals here. Because Surgicals are really useful for just taking out all of their Swords to Plowshares, especially when they're a Snapcaster deck. But this is what we're going with. Okay, we have the uncounterable route there. We have a Duress. I think we keep this one. So this is a turn 3 combo. So I'm going to play out this Verdant Catacombs. We Duress on turn 2. And then we try and combo on turn 3. But if things need to change, then they need to change. We're going to see here from our opponent. If it's a Ponder, then they're going to keep the best card on top. Alright, we're just getting Thoughtseized here. They probably take our Duress, to be honest. Or our Petal, to try and slow us down that way. So they get more looks at hand disruption, but I don't really mind Thoughtseize here. There's definitely worse things, because we don't need these tutors. And if we can find some more fast mana, we can use crop rotation as a Sejiri Steppe. This is going to be an uphill struggle, this particular game. Or this whole match, in fact, rather than just this game. Yep, it took the Duress. Bojuka Bog, that's not really the one we're after right now. So let's crack this. I would like... We want a green source here to cast these, and we would probably want a black source off of our Sylvan Scrying here. So I think we go Sylvan Scrying. We can either go and get... Okay, no, they're just going to counterspell this one. Interesting. So if we get a like Urborg style land, it means that we can, with 4 lands, we can play our combo and hold up mana for like days and crop rotation. Right, ponder from our opponents. So this is also the sort of matchup back in the day where Steely Resolve was quite useful. Now, Steely Resolve, not so great against most white decks in the format though, because they tend to have Prismatic Ending and Leyline Binding, that sort of jazz. Alright, a Tundra. That's not the one we want to see. So we can threaten the combo with our Dark Depths this turn, which means our opponent has to keep their Tundra uncracked. So we're going to try and pressure our opponent's mana here by just representing the combo and forcing them to represent the Source to Plowshares at the very least. And then if we can draw an untapped mana source, then that'll be good. We can try it with crop rotation. Brainstorm, that's pretty good. It means they're likely to make another land drop so that they can possibly advance their board a bit more whilst still holding up the plow. So we could have played the Bojuka Bog last turn and then have the next turn to try and go off that way. But I've chose to tax my opponent's mana. And we have a lot of mana we can draw anyway. Okay. Our opponent has tapped off of white mana. This suggests to me that our opponent has a white land in their hand. Or they could be playing Solitude. So I don't know if you've seen enough white cards to really support Solitude. Alright, so there is the land that did sneak into play afterwards, sure. No, not of this world, unfortunately. Alright, so we have a Bayou, so we can attempt the combo if we want to. We could also just play a Hexmage here. I like that. Black. Let's just try the Hexmage out. Because this way we don't have to lose 2 lands to make our combo. Right, it didn't plow at end of turn, which suggests to me they don't have a Prismatic Ending in hand as well. So we have 1 layer of protection and we can go again. Or we can go again. Depending on what we think is the correct play here. But we can also just start jabbing our opponent for 2 a turn. But they haven't shown us any creatures that really deal with Hexmage in a particularly interesting fashion. Blue, blue. We're going to see a Murktide. We are going to see a Murktide. And our opponent has a Tundra up. Interesting. Do I think this is getting better for us? I don't think so. I think we're going to go for it here. Because the pressure of a Murktide Radiant is so much as well. Right, here comes the Plow. Here comes the Crop Rot. Here comes the Force. There goes our Life Total. But now we're only 1 card away from comboing anyway. Unfortunately, our Bojuka Bog can... So if we play this out, we have to exile somebody's graveyard. We will exile our graveyard so they can't surgical our stuff, and we don't grow their Murktide. So now we just need to draw a Dark Depths, and we can go again with protection. Opponent's down to 1 card. We've got a few turns of taking this Murktide damage. But I think we had to go there with our opponent only having one mana up. Us having an answer. This matchup's always going to be awkward. A Sylvan Scrying. Alright, let's cast this. I would like a Dark Depths, please. And we will play it out. We haven't seen Wastelands from our opponent. And I would like to have some more mana potentially to pay around Dazes and things if we draw another land. We haven't seen Dazes, but it's certainly possible. It's unlikely with Snapcasters in their deck. But Stoneforge can sometimes go into some tempo-y shells. Free spells are good, is what I'm trying to say. Alright. We've got a chance. I think we are not trying to kill this in combat. We don't want to expose ourselves to like a second main phase Caracas or something. Like if they deal with our 2020, then we're probably losing anyway. Stoneforge? It is a Stoneforge. Is this Cryptic Coat for a blue card for Force of Will again? It is. Okay, deck. Let's hope that we can do the thing we need to do. We've got a friend. We've let us untap. Maybe they've got Force of Negation. That would make sense here. They've just got the Plow, though. We're okay. Oh, they just didn't have anything. Whew. Okay. Yikes. Living a charmed life a little bit there, but I will take it. Part of me is considering these ley lines, as wild as that is, because it does stop their Murktide and their Snapcaster, which is quite a lot of pressure that we can take off of ourselves. But is that where I want to be? Is one of them better than a Bojuka Bog? Like, we need lands to sacrifice. This is probably slow so we get to play out a bunch of lands. I don't think that's where I want to be. I think we're just going to rock it like this. Okay. There we go. Elvish Reclaimer. And then what? Oh, we have some protection. We have access to our combo pieces. We do need them to resolve. What does the Thoughtseize do to this hand? Quite a lot of damage, I think. Potentially. Quite a slow one. Alright, I'm going to keep this one though. This matchup tends to be a bit slow and it's about getting the protection pieces underneath you. Alright, we're going to see a Ponder or we're going to see a Thoughtseize. It's going to be one of the two. Unless they throw out a Portent. Alright, it's a Thoughtseize. I imagine we lose the Reclaimer here. Yep, there it goes. Because this represents the entire combo given enough time. And maybe they have less removal in hand and want to save their removal for our big Marit Lage. Another Sylvan Scrying. Right, I think I am in for the Bayou here. I'll play this out. We keep playing around days and we haven't seen one. Alright, let's Sylvan Scrying here. Alright, so we get the Dark Depths. That's the important part of our combo. So if we draw a Vampire Hexmage, we can just go next turn with one piece of protection. Which may be good, may not be. We'll see what our opponent plays. Hopefully no white lands, please, opponent. Flooded Strand, that is a white land. Okay. We'd like to find just another land so we can start casting more Sylvan Scryings. Right, this is obviously a very slow approach, but I think it's fine. Let's Sylvan Scrying here. Let's get a Thespian stage. So we can go in Sylvan Scrying for a Ghost Quarter if we see Caracas appear on the other side. Polluted Delta, sure. More mana underneath our opponent. No pressure as of yet, but that just means that they've either got lots of lands in hand or they've got some spell. Okay, love seeing this. We've got Thespian stage. I don't think we're going to Sylvan Scrying yet because we might need to go for the combo again or get some protection of some description. But I do like having two Not of This Worlds in hand. Cracking the Polluted Delta, so we're going to see something here. Right, so they got Tundra. And another Underground Sea. Snapcaster Mage. They would like to Thoughtseize us. It's not the end of the world. We've got Not of This World here. They can't take the Dark Depths. Right, they took one of our Not of This Worlds. There's a Caracas. Bit mean. It is what it is. Alright, I would like our Thespian stage to become a Bayou. Which gives access to more mana if we need it. It's still a non-basic anyway. An Inquisition of Kozilek. I like the look of this one. So let's begin with the Inquisition. A Dress Down and a Prismatic Ending. Dress Down is a redraw. And it can let their Snapcaster Mage chump block. I think we're getting that one. Okay, and then we go for Sylvan Scrying here. We're just trying to, like, cross all the boxes that we can. So we'll play this and then pass. The next turn, we Ghost Quarter away the Caracas. Make a guy. It'll have Not This World backing up. Okay, that's a very good find for our opponent. But they do need to find two pieces of interaction. So they need to find a piece this turn and next turn. And if we draw something good and they don't Prismatic Ending our Lotus Petal, so if we draw like a Thoughtseize or something, then we can get a bit more protection as well. There is a path. Okay, it chose not to shuffle. That's not what I want to see. Okay, it was because they found another Ponder. Okay. So last turn we could have tried to put our thing on the stack instead of getting the Ghost Quarter. We could have just gone for it and hoped the Not of This World would be enough to get through the Caracas. But the problem with doing that is if our opponent draws any answer, then we've already kind of got rid of our thing. We could have turned one of our cards into an answer. So, right, they didn't get rid of our Lotus Petals. That's good news for us. They did shuffle off that second Ponder. Right, so we have this Ghost Quarter. We can deploy an Elvish Reclaimer. I think that's worth doing here. We'll cast it with that so that Prismatic Ending doesn't get the petal, but I guess it's just get this instead anyway. Alright, opponent. Is our Not of This World and Ghost Quarter enough here? The ending on our Reclaimer. Yep, that's fine. Attack with the Snapcaster. We're not going to bait ourselves into getting hit by a second Prismatic Ending here. We know one of our opponent's cards. Let's Ghost Quarter this Caracas. Our opponent's got two cards in hand and they did shuffle off their Ponders. I think we're better off going for it now. Because they have loads of Ponders and stuff in their deck and Snapcasters and all that jazz. GG's, I punted game 3. Alright, I'm curious to see what they did here. It was probably to do with one of the ponder. Alright, so we're now 4-0. We managed to beat a white deck, which is always exciting. Our opponent said they punted though, so maybe there was some action our opponent did. I think we're probably looking at, it was one of their ponders and how they stacked a ponder probably. And that was probably, or their mulligan was a bit weird or something. That's what I'm imagining was probably what they've put as a mistake. We can't see their hand, and from our side it just looked like they didn't quite get there. So, alright, we've got one more to go, and it's a trophy match. So that would be a nice birthday treat for me, wouldn't it? Let's see if we can get it done. Alright, we are into the trophy match. What does our hand do? We play a Pithing Needle, Sylvan Scrying for Dark Depths, and we don't get anywhere. Or we play a Reclaimer, and then hope that that does enough. We're on the play, so Reclaimer has a lot more chance to live. I just don't like this one. I think it's just not stable enough for me. This one doesn't have access to the things we want. Okay, this is the best one so far. We keep this. I do not require this Lotus Petal, and now we're into, do we want Pithing Needle or do we want Reclaimer? Or do we want Thoughtseize? So it's one of these has got to go. I think we're keeping one of these. Reclaimer finds our combo, so I think it is the Reclaimer we keep. Now it's Thoughtseize or Pithing Needle. If we're doing Reclaimer things, we're not really going to have a time to do either of these, necessarily. I think we're going to ditch the Pithing Needle. And just look like an innocent little Cradle control style deck. Alright, our opponent was F6 our turn. That's interesting to know. Sandstone Needle. Okay, so we know exactly what our opponent's doing now. Not a fan of it. So, what do we do here? We play this, turn this into a Thespian stage. Next turn we try and kill our opponent. Is this fast enough? I don't think it is. God, I hate this matchup. I don't think this is good enough. But is playing Urborg and Thoughtseizing, that's going to slow us down by a turn. How much can we realistically get off of our opponent by... Oh, this is so tough. So if we play this and go and get our Thespian stage, then turn 3 we make a 20/20. Then our opponent's turn 3, they're very likely to go off. However, if we play this Urborg and then sculpt into something else next turn, then we have the chance of drawing some fast mana so that we can make our 20/20 and cast this Thoughtseize. Otherwise, you probably just have to cast the Thoughtseize anyway. Or they can just go right now with the Retrace one, and we hope that they fizzle. Creative technique. They are demonstrating though, so we do get... Oh, a Lotus Petal. That's not really going to cut it here. But again, our opponent can fizzle here. Cascade, okay. Divine Outburst isn't the worst. Typical's Trickery. Alright. What are they going to hit into? Another Trickery? Atali. Yep. I don't know why, but I find it very difficult to read this one. I think it's the white text on the grey background. I don't really like when they... I don't even like the cards that have sort of translucent backgrounds on the text. I just want a solid text box. Otherwise, I find it harder to read it. I don't know. Don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm just getting old. Alright, so they're putting some more stuff on the stack. We have to watch this happen. They're doing some Tybalt's Trickery in. They found an Emrakul. We can scoop it up. Alright. Oh, this is the antithesis of a birthday treat, because I hate this deck. This is my least favourite deck in Legacy. It just doesn't feel like magic to me. So, let's get rid of these. We're going to board in the Leylines, because this stops the Retrace spell, so we can discard it from the hand and actually does something. And that's basically what we got here. I don't think we need any other bits and pieces. We don't really need this Bojuka Bog, so we can have one Knot of this world in case they've got like a Sky Turtle or something weird. But what's probably going to happen is we're going to lose this game. Alright, so we've got discard, but nothing else going on. I don't think we can keep this one. No, I don't think we can keep this one either. Okay, this is about as good as it's going to get. So you've got to get rid of 2 of these cards. Does it matter what they are? Not really. Alright, we're going to do the thing that our deck can do and hope it's good enough. On the play, we've got a chance. Alright, Thoughtseize, help us out. If we get rid of this Throes of Chaos, they can still just play it by retracing it. If we get rid of this Emrakul, it goes into their deck, and that's not where we want it. So we have to pick the Throws here. So they're just going to go off on turn 2, and maybe they fizzle, maybe they don't. If we had a Leyline instead of this Swamp, we could win this one. Right, we'll do the thing that we can do. And our opponent plays City of Traitors, plays Throes of Chaos, and they hit Cho'Gath's Trickery, and maybe they miss. But there's not really any agency that they have in this game at all, which is why I hate this deck. It just doesn't feel like you get to actually play the game. You're just saying, will I hit my like 70% hit rate? Or I think it might even be higher than that, like 80% hit rate. And does my opponent have anything to stop me? Alright, so we're getting a Demonstrate off. Is this going to make a difference? I will cast this Elvish Reclaimer. That's something. I guess the other play we had available to us, now I think about it, was sacrificing our Hexmage to their Sandstone Needle. They did have another Sandstone Needle, so that just slows them down by 1 turn. But maybe slowing them down by 1 turn and give us a chance to draw stage works. But I'm not really convinced by that one still. Right, there's an Apex Devastator. They're not going to fizzle here. Yikes. Well, I don't blame my opponent for playing this game. Sometimes you just want to play a quick deck where you don't have to do any thinking and you just slam it down. Like, there's nothing wrong with people playing this deck. I just don't like that it exists. I blame Wizard of the Coast. Like, it's not too powerful either. Like, the deck is basically has a whole bunch of matchups that feel unwinnable. It's just a weird deck that just operates in a very different fashion. And kind of like it's like a self-working trick here. Like, okay, what does this do? Deals damage equal to the mana value of other spells you've cast. Yes, this is going to kill all of our things, so we need to make our 20/20 in response to this. Right, so this Violent Outburst shouldn't hit anything. We might still win this game, weirdly. There's a Cho'Gath's Trickery. Trumpeting Carnosaur. Throes of Chaos, so that might not have any targets anymore. Right, call forth a Tempest, can do some more calling forth. Right, so they've hit another creative technique here. Our Marit Lage is indestructible. If they don't have a Maelstrom Wanderer or an Emrakul in their chain, the Emrakul's in their hand, right? So they can't get the Emrakul unless they hit a Thoughtseize off of like an Atalia or something. Alright, I guess we cast this. It's going to die soon anyway with the call forth a Tempest. Oh, they have another Emrakul. Okay, sure. Well, that was just not really a game, was it? Yeah. So we finished with a 4-1, and we basically lost against like a really heavy skew deck that you basically auto-win or auto-lose, and there's very little agency in it, in how that one works out for us. Now, if we'd have had our Leyline instead of the Swamp, then we easily win that second game, and then we have to go to the third game, but we're still unfavoured because of the way that our deck works. We can't really interact with them enough in a meaningful way because we're not playing like a bunch of Wastelands or whatever on counter spells. So I don't feel bad about losing that one. It's going to be a matchup that's going to be horrible for us, but it's not something you see that often, and it's not like a really strong deck. So I don't mind losing to a deck that's a very small percentage of the meta. Even if it irritates me that I hate the deck, I don't hate people playing the deck. You know, it is what it is. All right, that over and done with. 4-1 record, let's talk about the deck. So the Elvish Reclaimer felt pretty good. We actually managed to get a win by beating down in the very first match, so that was exciting. So I think it kind of proved its worth there. It was also just some additional tutoring. We definitely had some hands where we kept it, and the Elvish Reclaimer was a reason we could keep our hand. So it basically just gives us way more options for keepable hands. But mostly we kind of just did normal Turbodepth stuff, right? We had a few like Urborg, Hexmage, Depths hands. That's fine. We had a few Thespian stage ones where we managed to get through with some Not of This World and stuff. So the deck just kind of functioned like it does when it wants to be fine. But I think the Elvish Reclaimer did give us a slightly higher percentage of keepable hands. I think if you look at the average amount of cards we kept in our hand this league, was certainly higher than the last couple of leagues I've ran. Now, some of that is down to Reclaimer, some of it isn't. But what we do have with the Reclaimer here is, if we don't have this in hand, it means that we're more likely to have these things in hand anyway, if that makes sense. So, you know, we kept a hand because it had some green spells in. But because we have more green spells, we can keep more hands. So I think that works pretty well. I'm definitely interested in playing some more leagues with the Reclaimer. So thumbs up for this deck. I need to do some more testing, but this is probably what my testing is going to look like at the moment. Feels pretty good into a whole bunch of things. Like, Delver is one of the top decks at the moment. Our deck is very good against Delver. Reclaimer makes our deck way better against Blue-Black Rescaminator, which is a deck that we're kind of okay-ish on. So we're just improving that. So basically the two best decks in the format we have good matchups with this deck. So that's a good place to be. Now there are some matchups we have horrible matchups with. So like Green-White Lands, Green-White Depths. Death and Taxes isn't very good, although no one's really playing that at the moment. And the Bant-style Beanstalk decks are obviously horrible for us. But aside from that, you know, having good matchups against the top of the meta feels like a nice place to be. And a cheeky 4-1 for my birthday video is alright. I'll take that one. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoyed this sort of different list that I'm trying today. And if you like Turbodepths content, my Discord, which is in the description below, is a dedicated Turbodepths Discord. Like, it has a whole Turbodepths section with different builds, like Rainbow and Green Black, and then, you know, we post all the lists and stuff that come up, lots of discussion. And I obviously have a Patreon, which obviously supports me making my content, so I appreciate everyone who subscribes to it. But then also, it just has lots of content for Green Black Turbodepths, and it does have a free guide to budget Turbodepths in Legacy, if you want to have a look at that. So yeah, if you want to have a look at that, help me out. If you want to just keep watching my videos, that also means the world to me too. Remember to like and subscribe. That's another way you can help me out. And I'm going to go and enjoy my birthday, which is actually going to be a few days after I've recorded this one, but there we go. All right. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying this really fun one with me, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbodepths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbodepths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.